Welcome back to Real Estate 101. Today we're going to continue our discussion on mortgage financing and talk about divorce and your mortgage. And I'm pleased to be joined once again by Tracey Brock of Dominion Lending Centers. Tracey, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Joe. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, Tracey, so I want to start today's show and I want to ask you, what is the first thing people need to consider when going through a divorce or separation?
Well, when it pertains to their home, what they really need to, it's a big decision. You know, divorce is a terrible topic to discuss with your family and your children. And if you have children, obviously that's the first step. But once you're considering your home, what you really want to decide is who's going to live in the home, if anyone, like if anyone needs to, what's going to happen with the home itself.
Okay, so what are some of the options that homeowners have when going through a divorce or separation?
Well, there's four fundamental choices that they have. They can sell the home and split the profits. They can buy the home from their spouse. They can sell the home to their spouse, or they can maintain joint ownership. And sometimes people can do that depending on the personalities with a basement apartment or something like that.
Okay, so what's the process like? How do they begin?
How do they begin? I would say the first thing they need to do is speak to a professional, either an appraiser or a professional realtor who can give them the best market value for their home. Going on MLS.ca is not going to help them because they're too emotionally tied to the property. They're not going to be able to make a rational decision. So seek out a professional to help you with that.
Okay, so let's say one spouse wants to buy the home from the other spouse. How much equity of the home can they use?
Well, surprisingly, they can actually use 5%. So that means that you can take a mortgage out for 95% loan to value, just like you're purchasing a brand new house, and only have 5% down payment, which leaves all that extra money to pay out existing debt that you might have together, like joint debt, to buy out the spouse a certain amount of money that you need. And it's more attainable. It's because it doesn't apply to the 80-20 rule, like 80% equity in your home, 20% to refinance. It doesn't apply anymore. It's like a brand new purchase, so it's 5% down payment.
Okay, so let's say one spouse wants to stay in the home and they're planning on selling their equity to their other spouse or ex-spouse. Yeah. What are some of the things to consider?
Well, I think the key thing they have to consider is whether or not they can afford that home on one income. Now, they can use other sources of income to help supplement their income, but they really have to sit down and budget and make sure that with their mortgage payments, their existing debt, if they have any left over after they've refinanced, interest payments, tax payments, just regular utilities, that they can do it on one income alone. That's the key, because if you can't do it, then you maybe have to think about downsizing or doing something else. Okay,
so you mentioned supplementary income. What are some of the other things that can be used for income when one spouse is trying to qualify for a mortgage?
Well, definitely child support or spousal support can be added to the equation. Any income they maybe get from a pension. There's income from part-time jobs if they've had the job for a couple of years. And some institutions will even accept universal child tax credit.
Okay, so what about if the home has a basement apartment and there's rental income? Can that be used?
The key, there is a couple of lenders actually that will let you use rental income. It's only 50% of whatever you earn, but that 50% can make a big difference.
Okay, so obviously credit score is important in all this, just like when the home was originally purchased. What are some things that maybe some of our viewers need to consider when going through a divorce in regards to their credit?
It's a very stressful time, but the bills still need to be paid. That's the bottom line. They're going to directly look at your credit score and how you've managed the last 6 months of your life, the last 24 months of your life, with whether you can afford to pay for this home. So if you really want to make sure that you're not going to have those type of challenges, just as best you can keep those payments up. Don't forget about them, because sometimes they can be forgotten about.
Okay, Tracey, so can someone who's getting divorced, let's say they're planning on buying the home from their spouse and they need the 5% down payment, can they borrow that money from somebody else?
They can borrow that money, or it can be gifted to them. If it's borrowed, it definitely has to fall in with qualifications, so they have to be able to afford the monthly payments on that borrowed money as well as their mortgage. But as long as they can afford that, then yes, they could.
Okay, Tracey, any last tips for viewers of our show that are about to get divorced and obviously, they need to get their mortgage in order?
I would say right from the beginning, you need to speak to your professionals, your appraiser, mortgage broker, realtor. Get everything lined up. Do it right from the beginning. It's a very emotional time. These people all have unbiased opinions. They're not here to help either one of the parties. They're here to help both parties. So that's my advice, is just take it one step at a time and make sure that you seek out the right people to provide you with the information and the facts that you need to go forward.
All right, Tracey, thanks very much for coming on today's show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next month.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
So there you have it. If you're getting divorced and need the help of a top mortgage broker, get in contact with Tracey Brock of Dominion Lending Centers. I'm your host, Joe Terceira. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.